All right, now for the bibliography. The bibliography is the last page in your paper, and that's where you list every source that you used. So since each entry in your bibliography is single spaced, let's go up here, change our spacing back to single. We want the word bibliography centered on the page, so hit this icon right here. Type in the word bibliography, then hit enter twice. Click this icon here to make the alignment go back to normal. So, if you use the History Reference Center like I suggested, most of this is pretty easy. I went ahead and pulled up a source from History Reference Center here. Click the Cite button. And we're going to scroll down until we see Chicago/Turabian Humanities. That's the one we always want to use. So let's highlight this and copy it. Control C. Go back to our document. Now, if you just paste it straight into your document, it's going to look like that. And we don't want that. We don't want it all that brown. So, instead of hitting Control V, right click and click Paste Without Formatting. There we go. So that's good. Go back to our document. Or you need the URL or web address. So we'll click Permalink. Copy that. Now if you're using another database and doesn't have the permalink, just use your URL up here. Just paste that. All right. And then end your entry with a period. Now there's all the information we need for this entry, but a few things are wrong. One is the author's name is all in caps. Sometimes the History Reference Center does weird stuff like that. Always proofread. That is something you'd have to change. All right, so we have that fixed. Now also notice the title of the journal is not italicized, and it should be. Journals, magazines, books, always italicized. And the name of the database is always italicized. History Reference Center. So you're going to have to fix a few things. Now the only thing we have left to fix for this entry is after you get past the first line, everything needs to be indented. So you place your cursor in front of the second line and you hit tab, that happens. It actually tabs the first line, which is annoying. That's not what we want. So put your cursor in front of the second line, just like I have it. Hit enter, and then click tab, and there you go. Then place your cursor in front of the third line, and just hit enter, and it shifts it over for you. Put your cursor in front of the fourth line, hit enter, shifts it over. One more time, hit enter, and it shifts it over. So there you go. Right? And then, so each entry is single space, but there's an extra space in between each entry. 1, 2. Hit backspace one time, and our alignment is where we need it to be. So, let's do it again with another source. Click the Cite button. Scroll down to Chicago Humanities. We're going to copy it. And when we paste, right click on your mouse, paste without formatting. Let's go back, get that permalink, the web address so we don't forget. Copy that. paste, enter entry with a period. Now for this one, it did the author's name perfectly. I don't know why. Sometimes it does it right, sometimes it doesn't. Always proofread. Got to italicize the name of the journal and the name of the database. Now we got to fix the indenting issue. So place the cursor in front of the second line, hit enter, tab. In front of the third line, hit enter. From the fourth line, hit enter. From that fifth line, hit enter. Then we're going to do another entry. And there's an extra space in between each entry. And then hit your backspace key or your delete key, depends on your keyboard. And there we go. We're ready for our next entry. Now, let's say we want to use the same information in our footnote. So let's go back to this here. Click Cite. We always want the humanities. Copy. All right. So let's say this was the source we used for our first footnote. We just paste. We get the brown. That's not what we want. We want to right click, paste without formatting. There we go. Now, there's a few things we got to fix. We need to add the URL to it. End in a period. And there's a few more things we got to fix. Always italicize your journal. Always italicize your database. And since this is a footnote, the author's name needs to be normal. We'll just retype it. And since it's a footnote, we separate all our main information with commas. So let's get rid of that first name. Okay. Almost done. Remember, you separate all the main information with commas in a footnote. Delete that period, replace it with a comma. Replace this period here with a comma, and there we go. Our footnote is done. Now, let's go back to this one. Let's do it again. Scroll down to Chicago Humanities. Paste without formatting. Now, I did that weird thing where the name is all in caps, so we got to fix that. Place a comma after the author's name. There's a footnote, so we separate all of our main information with commas. We've got to italicize the journal. We've got to italicize the database. We need to separate the main information with commas. So erase that period, replace it with a comma. Erase that period, replace it with a comma. Let's add our URL to that. End our entry with a period. Now let's say our third footnote came from the Hiroshima and Nagasaki process. We could just put I bid, period. That lets me, the reader, know that footnote, the third footnote, came from the same exact place as this one. And then let's say we end up adding another footnote. And let's say this footnote comes from Michael Lowry's document that we have up here. I don't have to put all that information again. I can give a shortened version of it the second time I use it. Of course, let's make sure it's in Times New Roman. Everything in Times New Roman. Put your cursor in front of it. Move that blue dash over and add the extra space. Remember, each entry in a footnote is single spaced with an extra space in between each entry. And in the bibliography, each entry is single space with an extra space in between each entry. Also make sure your authors are placed in alphabetical order. Right? So that's it.